Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Living on Music. And I am ecstatic to have these two folks on. It's been a while since I've heard about them, and it all kinds of meshes, you guys, because of next Saturday. Welcome, Jen and Scott Smith, AKA Naked Blue.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Great to see you. We'll talk a little bit about next Saturday and Cancer Can Rock in the event, and then God, I'd love to dive a little bit into your world. But it's next Saturday, as we both know. It has been a tradition for Jim to do these gigs. And you said this is your first Cancer Can Rock gig?
It is, yeah. We're excited to be invited on this and the lineup.
I'm so glad for you to do it is, again, a wonderful thing in general, and everybody doing it. But gosh, the lineup. I mean, you know, my wonderful little humble cover duo goes for a half hour at 11:25, but you've got Patty Reese following me, and she's been on Living on Music twice. Good buddy, and what an amazing musician, as you guys well know. Angus Quinn, Justin Trewick, Ashley Chevalier. You got Chris Timbers, and then Naked Blue, followed by Kara and Maddie D. I just had Kara on to talk a little bit about her world and about this show. What does it mean to you to play this kind of gig? A lot of times it has to do with personal involvement, whether it's family and friends ourselves with cancer. Kara had cancer and got through it and is playing in that. That's a very immediate kind of reflection. But what does this do to your heart and soul to play something like this? And you'll feel it more after.
I love what Jim does for people, you know, bringing them into the studio and allowing them to create music is such a powerful thing. And it's not everybody can do that. You can raise money for cancer, for research, and for a broad number of things, but he's raising the money to do something really specific to his heart and soul and talent. And it's just so amazingly generous of him to share that and to be able to contribute in any way to anything he's doing.
It really is. Scott, I'm sure you agree with Jen.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know, it is. I mean, you know, most of us, you know, I had a recent, you know, family member with cancer who died, and so yeah, I mean, it all, you know, it's a tough thing that anybody ever has to deal with, but this is a great way to help deal with it.
It sure is. I lost my best friend in the world last year, and the gentleman who edits this show, Todd Jones, just lost his right arm to cancer, and he's editing it with one arm and teaching music, and he's a lifetime musician and producer, an amazing man, and he's gotten through it. But anyway, what Jim does, as you just said, you guys, is, you know, to be able to bring musicians in like Kara, like Jenny Langer, like, you know, a slew of musicians across the board, and is able to take that incredibly difficult moment and give it some engagement, give it some camaraderie, give it some collaboration. And boy, do they cut some damn good music and videos out of that. So what a lineup that's going to be. Everybody who's watching, again, it's this Saturday, September 24th at the B Chord Brewing Company in Round Hill, New Jersey. Boy, that shows my burn from the last week. We could go up to Jersey and do it. I'm a huge Springsteen fan, so why not? But yeah, it's in Round Hill, Virginia. Beautiful place. If you look behind me, that's the stage.
That's great.
And isn't that sweet? That is, I mean, it is such a sweet stage. I decided to go out and sit in front of the stage for our show. I am there now, but you know, it varies from brewery to winery to whatever these different venues are. And boy, is this Leftover Salmon was supposed to play there this week. It was a, you know, wonderful band, and they canceled their show there just for their own personal reasons. But this is going to be fabulous. I can't wait to see you guys in person, and again also meet people in person that I've done the show with who I've never met in person, like Justin, Ashley, even Patty. I saw Patty at the Beth Hart show at Warner, and we're waving across the thing. I'm like, I want to meet you and hug you, damn it. But look, to have a band, a duo like you two with such Such a stellar career. Give me a little bit of a kind of an overview of the two of you. How long have you been doing this? You have 7 records. You just did Just the Clothes on My Back a couple of years ago, I think it was, right? 2019. Your collaborations in songwriting and playing live. I love some of the people sharing stages with Joe Cocker, Dan Fogelberg, Amy Mann, some of my favorites, John Mayer, and also the writing. Tell me a little bit about the beginning of Naked Blue and how it began and where.
It sort of began in a guitar shop in Baltimore, Maryland, when my last real job was I was selling guitars and Jen was buying them. And I had a little studio that I needed somebody to sing songs I had written. I wanted somebody to sing them, demo them for me. And she had songs that she needed somebody to record. And so we started trading favors. I would record her songs for her and she would sing all my songs for me.
Oh,
And
wow.
ultimately, we ended up writing together.
And then gigging together.
And we started playing together.
And
Isn't
then
that,
we
were
got
you
to-
both looking for that opportunity to join? I mean, it obviously seemed like it was a wonderful personal relationship moment, but it also, were you looking to find somebody to do this, or did it just evolve?
I think, I mean, for me, we were both doing other things, other projects, and this just felt really special. The way we were writing together and the ease of working together, and it just felt like something that we had to pursue. And
Right.
so we were able to quit our day jobs in 91.
Oh,
91 together.
nothing like quitting a day job to do
I
music.
know.
That is a dream beyond compare. I waited till I was 46 to start singing live. So, and it's been 16 years and I'm like, why didn't I do this when I was younger? But that is fabulous. Are you both local folks from this region?
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
up in the Baltimore area, or was it more in Virginia?
I was born in DC and spent my first 13 or 14 years in Bethesda,
Oh.
and then moved to the Eastern Shore, a small town on the Eastern Shore.
Where was that?
Chrisfield.
Yeah, is that Delaware? Is it Delaware or Maryland?
It's Maryland. It's the port to Tangier Island and Smith Island.
Wow.
It's the crab capital of the world.
Oh my God, I did a gig down there. I sub sang for a band called The Drive at some hunger thing. And it was down, I think in that area, there was a restaurant that was right on the water. And we went out in a boat that evening, but that sounds wonderful. Scott, how about you? What is your beginnings?
I was born and raised in Baltimore, and
Wow. Like my son, way to go.
yeah, so I've just been here. I started playing as a kid. My mom was a piano player, so she taught me that, and then
Oh, great.
probably cooler to play guitar at about 11 or 12, and moved on to that. And yeah.
Oh, and Jen, was music in your heart from the beginning early too? And was it parents, friends?
Parents. It was interesting. My mom was a big fan of like popular music and show tunes, and my dad was more of a musician. He was a really fine classical guitar player and studied, old blues and Lead Belly and Sun House and Appalachian music. And he gigged outside of Terre Haute, Indiana, when he was like 10 through 14 years old. He had this little bluegrass group, and they would drive around and play VFWs and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, because in a lot of, I'd say more than 75 to 80, maybe 90% of the guests on Living on Music have had that influence from home. And it began in your head and in your mind and in your heart and soul. And then it's like, wherever you went with it. I, again, didn't become a musician until 46, but music's been the core of my life and soul too. Fast forwarding a little bit, you guys met. Where did it evolve there? Because what you've done since that day in the guitar store in Maryland seems like it's been really wonderful. So what began? Was it some gigging? Then did you start? And then you were recording, and you have the Wooden Stone Room now.
So you started like cassette to cassette, right? Recording in your.
Oh yeah, whatever I could cobble together, man. When I was a kid,
Nice.
reels and 2 or 3 of them, trying to figure out all that stuff.
Wow.
But I think we started gigging, and then And then the gigging was just relentless. We were doing Lord,
We
250
played-
shows a year. Just
Like
Wow.
in the lingerie department at Macy's for
Yeah.
Wilmington, Delaware Mall grand opening, and IKEA, and the Bayou in Georgetown. We did openers
Yes.
there a lot. And
Wow.
and
Oof.
anywhere we could play, we just hit it hard.
yeah, we
Were-
toured a lot. It's pretty much
Were
what
the-
was going
were-
on at that time.
Right. Right. Were those the days that you were opening for some of these amazing artists? Was that later on, or was that as you were starting to get things going?
We were starting to get things going. We did the NACA thing.
Wow.
We played Amazing Grace at the Nashville conference.
Oof.
It was our first booking, and it was interesting because we were thinking, oh, we'll go down south. We'll be playing in Florida and all these, Charleston, South Carolina, and because of playing Amazing Grace, we ended up getting this Great Lakes Baptist College tour
Oh.
through the winter that was just brutally cold. I mean, there were lovely schools, but it was a brutally cold, a lot of driving. But it was great. It was great. It was fun.
Oh, that's wonderful. We talked a little bit about in the notes, sharing the stages with people like Joe Cocker, Dane Fogelberg, one of my favorites from back when I was growing up, Amy Mann, one of the greatest. She was just supposed to warm up Steely Dan at Wolf Trap, and they had that big fallout with Fagan. You heard that? And I'm like, what did you do? I wanted to see Amy and then Steely, and then that was really unfortunate. It was a great show, Steely Dan. Went to see Tom Jones last night, by the way.
I saw that you went, and I was going to ask. I'm sure that was just mind blowing.
Well, I'll tell you and the Living on Music Nation here that, again, it was absolutely fabulous. His voice was spectacularly intact. He's 82 and he has a hip issue with sciatica now. So he came out in a stick, and you were a little bit concerned, that he was just going to be a little bit frail. And he played not only his Delilahs and It's Not Unusuals and all that, played Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, 2 Bob Dylan songs, Prince, of course he did Kiss, of course he
Did
did
he
Sex.
do What's Up, Pussycat?
Yes. And it was like 3rd or 4th. And the way you just did this was the way that 10,000 women and men in that place were just like, ah. I mean, he is so beloved, as you well know. Somebody did throw up a pair of underwear on the stage, women's underwear, and he chuckled and then didn't do anything with it. But yes, he did. He said, this is a song, Burt Bacharach wrote. And we're like, and it was perfect. It was dead on. He was very, very good. And that is a very, very exciting thing. But Amy, I wish I'd seen. Anyway, back to you two. Do you have any kind of anecdotal moments with some of those folks when you were playing with them or opening for them, or how those relationships were?
I was pretty blown away at Dan Fogelberg as a rock guitar player, because that wasn't something that I knew about.
Right.
Yeah, he was so much more, even as a big fan before that.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that myself until after, that he started out as a session guitarist.
I didn't know that either. No.
Yeah, he's a monster player.
Oh my God, I'd love to see him wail, because he's so fabulous on his folkness, and was such a part of us. Joe Cocker.
He was great. I mean,
he was great. It's funny. It was at the Bayou, right?
Oh.
So upstairs is the fire escape that goes to the alley out back.
Right.
So his band did their sound check. He brought in a sound mixing board of his own, and they mixed, and we were waiting to see him.
Yeah, we're hanging out with Joe's band, and where's Joe? Oh, he'll be here.
He'll be here. 30 seconds before 30, like they called him to stage, and he came out of the limo down the fire escape, did the show, and went right back out to the car.
My
Just like smashed it for an hour and a half.
We didn't get to meet him, but his show was
Non-stop.
amazing.
Oh, it's at the Bayou too, which is largely one of the most classic venues in the country when it was on fire. That is, my partner Suzanne is a huge Cocker fan, and his music pops up on all these like Spotify playlists and things all the time. And I'm like, that's Joe. You guys have a studio. How long have you had Wood and Stone Room? Was that the first studio and it's just been going, or have you upgraded it to different things? What's the, and Wood and Stone? What does that mean?
Scott's always had a recording setup since I met him in the 80s.
Right.
Our last house that we left 18 years ago,
Right.
it a Roland VS 880.
Oh, I had a lot of different things, but yeah, I mean, we've always had some setup in it. Yeah, in our last house where we recorded, I don't know, 2 or 3 of our records.
Right.
When we moved to this house, it got named the Wood and Stone Room just because the room itself it's all wood and stone. It was just a quick, easier. What are we going to call this thing? You got to name it something. So
that's when that was the first time we actually had a named studio.
No, Oakley Manor.
Oakley Manor, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
named it after the street that we lived on. So
yeah.
That sounds nice. I would have to also ask, where did Naked Blue come from?
Gosh, I'm not sure I had a good story for that one, Steve.
I guess it's okay. That story's okay, but it was in our rider at one point when we did our international touring that to not ask us about that. And we could have written a good story about it by now, but the story was we were playing a lot. We were calling ourselves the Ferguson Smith Band, and it sounds so country, like, or it sounds like Rossington Collins, like
Yes.
and it was, and we weren't. And so Scott and I were in our kitchen at Oakley Manor, our little row house, and we had a Matisse blue nude print on the wall, and I thought, we were talking about branding, what to call the band, and then that was kind of shining over us like the Virgin Mary,
Right. It was like, this is a name. This is a name.
So we're like, okay, what is our favorite song? What do our favorite songs we've written together have in common? And it was that when we would first reveal to one another the beginnings of a lyric or a chorus or the full lyrics, we both felt really vulnerable and naked and a little nervous about handing that over for the other to see.
Yeah.
We felt naked, and then we thought, well, naked blue.
Hey, Scott, that's a neat description, I think. I love that. It must have just been a dawning, though. And was that at the beginning, or was that a little while in?
It was probably
it was early on.
Like 91, when we quit our day jobs, pretty much.
Yeah.
But check it out, though. Then comes the internet, where naked is blocked everywhere.
Oh God!
Killed our mailing list.
I think we'd be really famous.
For a band name, they're cutting it out. That is absurd.
We'd caught in a lot of spam filters.
And we'd have people at work get called into the office because their boss thought they were watching porn at work.
Oh, that is
going to nakedblue.com.
That is so classic. Well, thank you for that explanation. I'll never forget it. A couple of quick things before we part for now. You guys have really shown, obviously, an incredible level of songwriting, and not only for yourselves, but you've collaborated with people. It's been Troy Turner, you've been Evangeline's thing on MCA, the Brooklyn. Talk a little bit about why you think the songwriting has been so strong for both of you as this has gone along.
I mean, I feel like that was always the most important thing to us, was by both of us. I mean, at least for me, I
writing a good song.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, I wanted to be more songwriters than anything.
Yeah,
I never wanted to be a rock star or whatever.
Right.
That sort of thing.
There was a minute you wanted to be a rock star. We all want to be a rock star.
Yeah, and frankly, I wouldn't negate that you're not in one way or the other right now. Van Halen shirt too, you can't beat that.
That's rock star. See, never gonna happen. That's cool.
So it's been, and I love the sound. I mean, of both of your playing. Jen, your voice, you've been thrown towards Susan Tedeschi and Lucinda and people like that. I'm a Americana roots rock fanatic. So when I started really listening to you guys, as I knew that this was coming, and I've known of your name for a long time, it really shines. This seems to be the continued kind of world of you guys, is that sound? Or are you thinking of, oh, I might try a little of this or a little of that? Or are you staying pretty much straight through the roots rock sensibility with the Americana tradition type feel?
Yeah, I think we can do that because you know, we can, there's always the practicality issue of touring with a full band, with the whole rock band,
Yes.
or as a duo. So it becomes, the songs are the most important thing. The songs have to be something you can pull off as a duo or with a band. When we did the Lee Child project,
Right.
the songs were written at first person in the voice of Jack Reacher, the character.
Yes.
And he's you know, this big burly ass kicking,
Right.
you know, and so that demanded a little more muscle. And Lee is a huge blues fan,
Oh.
and Jack Reacher, the character, is a blues fan, and so the production that Scott did on that last record was a little more classic, not classic, I don't know, what do you think, like classic rock, blues rock?
Right.
Because that's what suited the character, and we may not have gone, you know, to that exact place, but it was so much fun.
Oh, I bet. And the fact that you could adapt to a, you know, you went this far over, not, you know, hip hop
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
orchestral music. You stayed in the world. That's wonderful to do. You just mentioned you're waiting to possibly release a song. Was that with Reacher, another Reacher type thing, or is that different on Amazon
Well,
Prime?
So the book was picked up by Amazon Prime as a TV show.
That's right.
So this
Yes.
February,
Oh,
the show came out, and it was one of the most successful series that Amazon's ever had. It
oh,
was so exciting. And we had a song in that from the album, and
wow.
it makes sense for them to use all everything on the record in
Right.
the show.
So if you're
on.
listening Amazon.
Right.
Listening
Perfect
Amazon.
sense.
Yeah.
So we don't know yet, because as you probably know, sometimes they don't plug music in until like 3 days before,
Yes.
right?
Well, like, and
So-
on soap operas, they don't even tell you that it's going to be on there.
Right,
Jason,
yeah.
Jason Massey was on with me a year or so ago on the show for a deep dive, and he was on Young and the Restless, but he didn't even know he had made it.
Yeah, I think
Same
I
with
think my
us.
mom.
Really?
Hey,
Friends of
day I
ours
said, "Hey, honey,
Said, I
heard
just
you
heard
on-"
you on. We're like, oh, no, you didn't.
Was it on Young and the Restless?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet it was in the Crimson Lights coffee house, because that's where most of the music. Although they have they have different places. Oh, that is great.
It was, and it was a theme song for this one character. Every time she walked into the coffee house, they would play that song. So we got a lot of mileage from
Are you
that.
serious? I'm sure I heard it. My mother was an actress. She was into soaps when I was a kid. I've only been down CBS's road, and now they're all largely gone, except Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful. And I record them, and when I'm not working or doing stuff, I dive into soap operas. I mean, I'm admitting that. So don't, you know, I hope people don't at home aren't like, what? So, but the acting is superior on a soap opera, which is just incredible. And they've had a major stars, but that is so cool that that's happened. Another thing I wanted to hit with you guys on this ride is the local DC music community, which you are a huge part of. You do the Wooden Stone songwriting retreat.
Mhm.
Is that something that was well, during the pandemic, nothing happened, but are you going to do that again? How long have you done that? And you've collaborated with people that I've interviewed and know quite well now, Todd Wright, John Carroll. I mean, got many more. How does the DC music community come together for you, and also with the songwriting retreat?
So we started in 2013, and we've done
Nice.
it every June, but we took 2020 and 2021 off because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we've had Freebo be a part of it, and Phil Madeira,
Oh,
and Dan Navarro.
Anton
Right.
Fig, right?
Ant-
Was he beforehand? Anton
we-
Fig?
We've written with Anton Fig, but he wasn't part of the
Okay.
retreat. Yeah,
Songwriting more, right?
White
Yeah,
Easterling, Elliot Bronson,
Oh,
and Annie Sidley.
oh, really? Yeah.
Joined us at that.
Love
And
them.
Jennifer Daniels from Chattanooga. And we have, I think every year we've had several DC area. We have people from all
Oh,
over the
yeah.
country come out and join us for it. But
Where do you do it? At home, at your house?
No. We this year we did it in a little town right outside of Frederick, Maryland.
Oh,
It's a cool old farm.
farmhouse.
We try to find an idyllic,
yeah.
hopefully near water. If not, someplace that's somewhat detached, and
Where you feel like
it
completely
might be hard to get a
detached
cell
from
signal.
the world.
Oh,
You know,
man.
so-
Songwriting.
Well, that makes complete sense because that's why it's called a retreat.
Wood and Stone Retreat. We're talking to some people, Beyonce's tour chef,
Oh,
and
wow.
a friend of ours whose family owns an island in Maine with 2 big houses. So
Oh.
we do an upscale wood and stone retreat, and he sent us this menu that just blew our minds.
Oh,
He's
that
also
sounds.
a songwriter and a bass player and a
Oh.
brilliant chef, and the house in Maine. So we'll see. We might know more about that.
Yeah, well, I want to keep in touch going forward on that, and that would be a great full Living on Music coverage at the main island.
Right on. Yeah.
I'll be very excited when you fly me in, and
Okay.
we'll keep in close touch on that. Look, one reason of many that Cancer Can Rock is lucky is to have you two playing this Saturday, and also just being a part of the DC music community, which everybody that's around us that day will be. But it is such a pleasure to meet you two and to finally get a chance to learn some of what Naked Blue has been all about. And it is impressive. And so is the music. I'm telling you, I'm going to start. You got a fan, and I'm going to start listening off camera and have a blast with your music. But what I'd like you to do is keep in touch with me. Keep in touch with me on the songs for Reacher, and keep in touch in general albums. And let's keep in touch, because I want to follow what you're doing, and I'll be able to actually meet you in person on Saturday. How does that happen? I still don't
That's
understand.
great.
How can we meet each other? But I can't wait. It's going to be an amazing thing for everybody. You can go to Eventbrite. You can go to the B Chord Brewing Company website. I made my own tiny URL that's going to be up during this show, and was up with Kara. But it's going to be an amazing day. The only thing you have to do, you two, is the night before you get down on your knees by your bed and pray for good weather. Because that just blows, as you guys well know about playing outdoor gigs. I think I've had 4 canceled this summer alone. And pray for good weather. But look, I can't wait to meet you two, Jen and Scott. Thanks so much for doing Living on Music.
Thank you so
Steve.
much, Steve.
Yeah, and we'll be in close touch as we go forward, and I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Steve.
much.
You bet.